we're losing. All the things we've done, we kill people, but it never succeeds in solving the problem. And now it's the Africa core. So maybe they're drawing on some stocks. Maybe there's some advisors coming in. Sustainability is everything. I mean, you can bring in good people, but how do you sustain them? Once this war starts, there won't be any airplanes landing in Venezuela. That's guaranteed. But again, it's a suicide mission. Our guys come in to hunt them down, and we will say anything because, unfortunately, to speak out against the president of the United States, he is subject to recall to active duty. This is a tragedy waiting for him. I think we have some really stupid people who are fully capable of doing stupid things.
If you know anything, the big lifting is done by what the Antipower Zero IL-76S can carry, what a couple Panzers, the mobile short-range air defense system. They're coming out of Africa. So maybe they're drawing on stocks that Russia had, supplied there when Wagner was operating. Now it's the Africa core. So maybe they're drawing some stocks, maybe some advisors coming in. Sustainability is everything. I mean, you can bring in good people, but how do you sustain them? Once this war starts, there won't be any airplanes landing in Venezuela. That's a guarantee. There'll be carrier battle groups off the coast of Venezuela preventing all that from happening. This isn't a lifeline. This isn't the Berlin airlift, with constant stream of aircraft. These are, maybe politically, but the Russian government has already said there's nothing we can do for Venezuela. That's it. There's literally nothing they can do for Venezuela. Russia's not going to get involved in a shooting war with the United States and Venezuela with that logistical. Russia can't sustain that fight. Russia's strength is interior lines of communication. The fact that the war in Ukraine right now, Russia, literally is coming from their defense industry right to their border region. And they don't have to go long distances. There's no significant. I think people are just reading into it too much. I don't know what's on those aircraft. Again, the defense industry and Wagner. So maybe they're deploying some advisors. But again, it's a suicide mission. You send advisors, and then where's your quick reaction force when our guys come in to hunt them down? And we will. That's just it. So I don't want to read too much into this. Venezuela is in a very, very bad position, and there's not a weapons. I mean, if I were the Venezuelans, I would launch a surprise attack against the United States today with everything I had. I would fly all my aircraft out and try and blow up as many F-35 seconds on the runways. I would saturate a carrier battle group with all the anti-shipping missiles I had, and I would seek to sink a ship and do damage because this is your only shot. Once the war starts, we're in control. We do it better than they do it. We have electronic warfare, we have better missiles, we have better everything. So, the only thing we aren't going to do well is, a continued ground presence on Venezuelan soil, especially moving into the interior where the jungles are. Then guerrilla warfare comes in, and we're not going to win that one. We're going to lose that one. And ultimately, we'll lose the war in Venezuela. Whatever government we put in isn't going to be sustainable. But that doesn't help in the short term, because right now we have idiots who believe they can do this, and God bless that admiral for resigning. But, he's literally not going to, he's not going to say anything, because unfortunately, to speak out against the President of the United States, he is subject to recall to active duty, and then he could be held accountable for his words. There is no free speech in the military, and you don't lose your obligations under the UCMJ when you retire as a general officer. And so encouraging people to speak out, I mean, yes, I'd love to see people with the courage to do that. But with this administration, with this FBI, this Department of Justice, this Department of Defense, you're not going to find too many people willing to sacrifice their retirement, their future, the security for their families. I'm not holding my breath for the next generation of Smee Butlers. Is greater than why now. So this has been an ongoing agenda especially for the United States, regime change. There was a time during the Bush administration Jr. where there was a CIA coup warded off, took away Hugo Chavez, didn't succeed. Now it seems like the escalations are becoming up to that level again, if not worse. Is greater than. Well, my speculation, as I tried to elucidate before, was that we need some kind of a demonstration that we're still the most powerful country in the world. Remember when Biden was asked by the 60 Minutes guy, do you think it can handle maybe 2 wars at the same time? And he said, wait, the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world, in the most powerful country in the history of the world. Well, that ain't so. And for the short term, you may have Marco Rubio's running around and old Dick Tracy Hexath, running the Department of War. But as Scott said, where is this going to go? Is it going to go into the jungles here like in Vietnam? I inevitably will if they follow through. So, my prediction, for what it's worth, is that they'll tomahawk the hell out of Venezuela. They'll try to hit Maduro, not with a hammerhawk, but with those with the CIA. But I'm not sure they can succeed. The other thing I'd say is this. The Russians have been unbelievably patient, that is pooching, with the shenanigans done by this administration. Unbelievably. I can hardly believe it. So, the US strikes out, it strikes out and bombs the hell out of Iran. And what does the Kremlin say? Well, okay, that's a different area. That's subordinate to our overriding desire to create a more decent relationship with the United States. The Russians want that. The key question is whether Trump wants that. I think he wants that, but he's really circumscribed by these crazies around him. So what if the Russians say, look, Donald, if you go ahead and invade Venezuela, forget about any decent relationship with us. We're going to oppose you at every turn, and we're going to clean up Ukraine, whether you like it or not, and embarrass the hell out of you for being on the wrong side of this one. We can do that. We can do that by the end of the year. Watch us now. Would that have any deterrent effect on Trump? It might on Trump, but you get Lindsey Graham and Pete Hex and Marco Rubio and the rest of them, they probably will win the day. So I suspect that we'll have a lot of shelling and a lot of tomahawks sent to Venezuela. I'm not so sure that anyone will have the stupidity to send the Marines in. Is greater than massive numbers of militias being formed in Venezuela. They're preparing for a long, almost like protracted guerrilla war, which you said will not end well for the United States. Why does it end up going in that direction? Why now? Why and why now? As I asked, right is greater than Marco Rubio. What do you mean, why now? He's Secretary of State and he's National Security Advisor, rolled in the one. It was inevitable. The second Rubio became Secretary of State, it was known that we were going to go after Venezuela because this has been his love project since 2016. So, this was bound to happen. Trump put the wrong guy in at Secretary of State. Had we had a different Secretary of State, we'd have different priorities. But, Marco Rubio, this is what's he thinks is going to get him the presidency of the United States. This is what's going to make his name. So this was inevitable. This is why now, because Rubio is the Secretary of State. He's the National Security Advisor rolled into one. He gets to do all the decision-making. There are no checks and balances on this man at all. He gets to whisper in the president's ear 247 as a National Security Advisor. He gets to bypass all other secretaries. Hegth wants an audience. Maybe H.G. wants to come in and say, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. But Rubio's there as National Security Advisor. And then when the principal meeting is held and he says there, Rubio, Secretary of State, gets to put in a counter-argument. But he's already polluted Trump's brain. This is a tragedy waiting to happen. And Ray, I hope Marines don't land. But unfortunately, I think we have some really stupid people who are fully capable of doing stupid things. And this is an administration that has yet to experience body bags, and the political consequences of body bags. And it's going to be worse for this administration because they promised peace. They told their base that this was the administration of peace. Turns out this one of the could has the potential to be one of the most war-mongering administrations we've ever had. If Trump now, because it's not just Venezuela, this guy wants to go and kill Nigerians. Is greater than, yeah. Is greater than, you know, he wants to be involved in, you know, defending Christianity in Nigeria. This is a man responsible for the genocide in Gaza. Literally, he already bombed Iran. And now what? He's, you know, we're claiming we're washing our hands of the war in Ukraine, but we provide weaponry directly, indirectly, that results in Ukrainian men being slaughtered every single day by the thousands. This is a man who's literally drenched in the blood of people around the world, and we haven't formally gone to war. Wait till we get Venezuela. Colombia is not going to sit aside. So, you know, when you get in Venezuela, it's a 2-for-1. You know, you get 2-for-1. You get to get Colombia. And the other thing people need to understand is, you know, Southern Command has been one of these commands that nobody's paid attention to. That's just been there. If you think that means we've been doing nothing, you don't know anything about Southern Command. You know, Delta Force has been wandering those woods. DEA has a veritable army, paramilitary army, doing counter-drug stuff. And I'm talking tens of thousands. The special forces have been down there doing training and all this stuff. Our conventional guys go in and do work with the helicopters and all. We have been active in South America and Central America for decades and very active. And these people, they become singularly focused. They get the blinders on. And so the people giving advice, they'll bring in the DEA guys going, oh, we got this. We got good relations with the locals. We can go in and we can do stuff. And the CIA is tagging on with them and building up their little local army. And Delta's in there saying, we can do a snatch anytime you want. We're really good at this stuff, and the SEALs are just waiting to be able to go across some beach somewhere to kill somebody with a knife. Yeah. We're not getting the right people talking to the president. The people who are saying that all these things these people have done, Mr. President, you need to know they haven't worked. The war on drugs, we lost. We're losing. All the things we've done, we kill people. But it never succeeds in solving the problem. The military solution has never succeeded. What about Panama, Scott? Well, gosh, great success there. And I just want to say, you talk about these militias. You know, Panama had a citizens militia too. And I forget the name of the suburb in Panama City where we burned it down and killed thousands of them. The Venezuelan militia in a stand-up fight against the US military stands no chance. We will slaughter them. Now we get into a guerrilla warfare situation. That's different. But the idea that you're going to have 10,000 militia members out there massed to take, it's just a target and we have standoff weapons that will kill them all. I'm not encouraging it. I don't want it. I'm just stating the fact we have a president now who's literally murdering people in boats off the coast of Venezuela that we don't know what those boats are doing. And it doesn't matter what those boats are doing. It's murder. It's a war crime, and the men carrying this out are war criminals, and the men giving the orders are war criminals. You don't get the defense. I'm just obeying orders. This is clear-cut rules of engagement. These people aren't presenting arms. We're not in a state of war. You have no right to bomb this boat. None whatsoever. Zero. And the second you do that, you have committed murder. You want these people to make the right decision, to make the moral argument. They're already war criminals. What more do we expect from these people? Is greater than is greater than. Now, Danny, I wanted to say that I'm beginning to feel a little sorry, not only for the Marines, but for Donald Trump having Marco Rubio whispering in his ear all day. Must be pretty terrible punishment here. All kidding aside, you know, we've reached quite a pass where the US president can say, well, no, I don't think Maduro is very long for this world. And the journalist who's asking him these questions, oh, that's interesting. Oh yeah, Well, it's become regularized that we do these things. And I think that maybe the independent media will have some impact here. At least we've grown from what we used to be. And maybe the American people and the people that have supported Trump will say, well, now, wait a second. As Scott mentioned, you promised us peace. You're going to have another war here with body bags and stuff. I don't know. It's going to be a really good thing to watch for the next several weeks. And I just hope that this is mostly bluff and that after Hexath and the others have beat their chest for a while, nothing more serious than the invasion and capture of the island of Grenada will eventuate. When it comes to everything the United States does, it's like the political consequences you talked about earlier, Scott. It's like it really just takes one strike that causes a major public relations nightmare. Ship sunk, fighter jet down. That creates a huge political nightmare for a Trump administration that said, hey, look at this laundry list of arguably and questionable peace deals that we made. I mean, it's a greater than is greater than, but look what we've done though, Danny. We have American troops in American cities. The American people aren't doing a damn thing. We have ice jack-booted thugs in masks, no badges, hunting people down like dogs, and all the MAGA people going, this is what I voted for. This is what I voted for. And so Trump has conditioned them to this nonsense. And so the same people that are screaming about ICE and we need to get rid of these immigrants, and they're going to fall victim to the, Maduro is, trafficking fentanyl, and, we have to take them out. And I think Trump, whether this was done on purpose or by accident, has done the best possible job of preconditioning the American people for this. And if it fails, what's the next thing he's done? Given an order to the Secretary of War to have the National Guard ready to send emergency reaction forces into every American city starting January 2026. And where is Congress? Where's the American people? Where's the National Guard? We're the people's Mr. President. We're not going to do that. Congress now over our dead body. Literally, Mr. President, the Supreme Court. Nope, that ain't gonna happen, Mr. President. Everybody's silent. The American people are cheering it on. That's the saddest part. We have thugs in the street hunting down people, and the American people are cheering them on. I know there's a handful of people out there going, no, we shouldn't do that. MAGA, the guys that put this madman in office. That's what I voted for. American soldiers in the street. This is what I voted for. No, nobody voted to run roughshod over the Constitution. And if you think it's a good idea to have American soldiers in the streets of an American city that hasn't been invaded, then you don't understand anything about the Constitution. And after all, we are a constitutional republic. So, if you don't understand anything about the Constitution, you're not much of an American now, are you? In fact, if you're the kind of people out there say this is what you want, you're about the most anti-American I ever met in my life. I apologize for the language, but I have no use for these people who are willing to throw the Constitution aside so they can sit at home, drink their beer, get fat, and watch, people get hunted down like it's some sort of entertainment. Well, speaking of Saab, speaking of the Supremes, I guess they're going to make some big decisions about tariffs. Is greater than. That's going to be big. I have some modicum of hope that they'll make the right decision on tariffs. They may even require Trump to give back the extra money that we have earned tariffs. I think that would give him a little punch in the nose, and the Supremes, are not something that he usually expects to go against him. So maybe this is a forlorn hope, but the Supremes are the third branch of our government. At least that's what I learned. And whether that will prompt Trump to pull his horns a little bit because he's Nick Neat, he's knee deep in it. He's got the government is shut down. He's lost in Asia. He's losing Ukraine. He's embarrassed by what he is enabling himself in Gaza. Is there no end to how much he's going to dig that hole more before he tries to get out? I don't know. But everything's in flux. That's maybe the main message. And again, We'll have to see when does the USS Gerald Ford come on station on Venezuela? Is greater than, I'm not worried about the Gerald Ford showing up on station. Is greater than, they can fly. They can fly. Yeah. Okay. Is greater than. Can I just make a quick observation? I made a mistake of reading the chat. For all you morons out there that are saying, this is what I voted for. No, you didn't. You have no idea. Is greater than, I didn't see that. 25 million illegals. Isn't that something? Hey, dingbats. There's a song that Joan Baez and Bob Dylan sing, Deep Ortiz, and it's about, I think it's Los Gates Canyon. There was a C-46 that crashed, I don't know, like 1946-47 right after World War II with a bunch of deportees. We've been deporting people for a long time. This didn't just happen. And any of you go to the grocery store and pick up fresh vegetables, guess who picked them? Most likely illegal aliens. Any of the roofing jobs Oh, Scott, these are 100% American crews. Not really. America runs on illegals, have been running on illegals for decades. It's what we want. It's what we did. It's what our economy does. And now to sit here and make this political as the president has done, this is pure entertainment. This is a snuff bill. That's all it is. It isn't correcting the problem because the problem can't be corrected, and the president isn't correcting it because he's given waivers to everybody. This is pure entertainment. And if you're out there defending what the president's done, you're dumber than poop. I'm just going to say that. I'm sick of these people. This is what I voted for. You don't know what you voted for. And I'll tell you what, the day you get caught in an ICE traffic jam and you don't have your ID on you and they ask you a question, well, I'm an American. And they pull you out of the car and beat the crap out of you. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh when that happens to you. I'm just fed up with these people, Danny. They're stupid. They're armchair citizens and they're not citizens. You didn't vote for this and you're ignorant. If you don't know the relationship between the United States economy and illegal aliens, then you're stupid. This country exists on the back of the work done by illegal aliens for the last 50 to 60 years. It's what we've been designed to do. That's been slavery in anything in any other name. And yet we ignore it. Those little brown people who make up your bed in the hotels, the little brown people that do everything in America that we just turn a blind eye to. I'm disgusted with them, Danny. I'm sorry. I know they're your audience, but is greater than. Well, look, I mean, I share the sentiment, undocumented people who are not legally citizens, the amount of exploitation that goes on is absolutely incredible. Blended it, and it's exactly right. The US economy, for what it's worth, given that it's not working for the vast majority of people right now, they are doing the hardest of work for the least. Not to mention the dangers of what we're seeing now on video everywhere is greater than, because I'm going to turn them off after this. The US Constitution doesn't protect you. Read the freaking Constitution. Read the Supreme Court. You don't even know what you're talking about. The Constitution protects everybody in the United States. Whether they're an American citizen, whether they're not an American citizen, they have due process. Yeah. Let me just add, from a human point of view, my grandparents were alienists. I don't believe that any human being can be illegal. I think that we come out of a faith tradition, many of us, that gives preferential treatment to aliens, to widows, refugees, orphans. At least that's what we pretend to believe. So one problem I have is with the institutional church, which knows this and pretends to follow it, but does not preach the word. And there can be a self-agorizing Christians who believe they're doing exactly the right thing to kick these illegal aliens in the teeth and drive them out of the country. It's a failure of our moral leaders, and that the result of that is a challenge to the rest of us, because there is only us. There never has been any other. And when people say to you, oh, there aren't enough of us, well, that's what they told Cesar Chavez when he said, Let's do a great boycott. I remember it distinctly. Its advantage of being old. Yeah. He said, let's do this. And they said, no, no, say so. It's crazy. There aren't enough of us. He says, there are enough of us, but nothing's going to happen without action. Okay. So, nothing's going to happen without action. And it's up to us, and we can't look for moral leadership in any other place than right here, with Scott, you, Danny, me, and the people who are listening, who have the guts to stand up for what we say we believe. And that is, treat the poor people, with preference. Not only with equality, but with preference, because they deserve it. At least that's my faith tradition. Is greater than. Well, it's what Jesus taught us. If you call yourself a Christian, is greater than. I'm just telling you right now. I turned off the comments, so I don't care anymore. Is greater than, it's dangerous, Scott. It's dangerous to go because the people, they say things for this. Is greater than. Well, they literally tried to get me riled up and they succeeded. But you know, we got this moral majority in America, you know, we're a Christian nation. And we got this Judeo-Christian ethic and this foundation. If you go to church and you were baptized and you call yourself a Christian and you're cheering what I is doing, you ain't a Christian. Not at all. Because I can guarantee you this. Jesus wouldn't allow this to happen.